Here are my thoughts on getting online clients from social media in 2025. And for some context here, so you can assess if you want to listen to me or not, I've generated over 4,000 inbound leads. I have booked over 1,000 calls at this point, and we have signed up over 500 high ticket clients. Now, that might be a little or a lot depending on where you are in your journey, but that's just what I have. For that, I was able to build a fitness center from zero to a base of 300 members and serve thousands of people in brick and mortar. And we were mainly using social media strategies, advertising, things like that as well. So over the last 13 years, I've just accumulated my own experiences, and that's all I'm trying to share with you. So I'm very humbly speaking here. Now, let's get into the sauce, shall we? So here's the deal. This day and age, and the last number that I've heard is like there's like 615 million posts being published every minute on the internet, which is insane. I don't know if it's that many, but the point is there's a lot, right? And information is a commodity. And so if you are just going and following the kind of older tactics that used to work really well, like 2019, 2020, 2021, when we were like kind of in the midst of COVID, it was easy. You could just kind of follow a content calendar. You can post the value post on Monday, XYZ post on Tuesday, and like you would get leads, you would get clients. You could just run challenges, you could do these things. And that's not to say that like these things just stop working. Whenever somebody's like says something is dead, they're probably trying to sell you something on the other side of that, right? But they stopped working. And in the really simplistic term here that I learned from a book named Breakthrough Advertising by a man named, let me get my words right here, Eugene Schwartz, the late Eugene Schwartz. And he talks about this concept of market sophistication. So really simply, if you're, say you're selling like a health and fitness program or whatever it is that you're doing, your avatar, your audience has likely seen the same messages, the same types of content and strategies that they've seen over and over and over again. So they become more sophisticated. Like back in the day, maybe the 50s or 60s, but before then, even like in the newspaper ads, like somebody would read something that's like, here's how to lose weight with this magic pill. And it would probably sell crazy. And ironically, that might still sell this day and age because people are dumb. But my point is like eventually people see that. And this is where we have to now innovate. We have to start to create unique differentiators within our marketing, right? Within our content, with how we're communicating. Does that make sense? And so I'll paint a picture here, and I'll give you a formula, if you will, that has helped me be able to continually get clients over and over and over again throughout the years as the markets sophisticate, as the same strategies and tactics become overwhelmingly put out into the marketplace. And so, firstly, we want to think about it like this. If you are just teaching at your audience, giving them expert content, and you think that is the main way to give value, I'm here to tell you, you probably are struggling to get leads consistently. And there are a few different ways I like to kind of view this so you can kind of see where you fit in. I look at this as really three identities, three roles that you can be in as a coach, as an expert, as somebody that's putting out content. You can be in the friend zone. The friend zone is where you are putting out content. Maybe you're sharing a lot of connection content, you're sharing a lot of helpful stuff, right? People like it. And this is where you see a lot of these influencers who are broke because they're in the friend zone. They have a lot of people that like their stuff, but nobody trusts them enough as a leader to buy from them. And then you have people that are in the expert zone. These are going to be people that they're putting out a lot of teaching content, right? They might have low engagement, some might have decent engagement, but the point is nobody's buying from them. People view them as an expert, but there's not enough demand built. People don't view them as the leader that can solve their problems. And then in the middle, this is the identity that, at least in my opinion, that we all should be striving for, is you have what I call in demand. This is like where you're stepping into being a thought leader, to where your content is sharing your wisdom. It's shifting people's perspectives. It's providing your unique perspectives. And it has a novelty to it because it's coming from you and your experiences. It's coming from your story, right? And now you start to become this guide for people, as Donald Miller talks about in StoryBrand. You become this guide for people. And this kind of bridges the gap between all three identities. You have the connection, so you have a friend in them, right? what's the song? You have a friend in me. All right, you're probably not here to hear my beautiful singing, but you have, and then you also have the expert. People see you as an expert, but now you are literally leading people's thoughts, right? You are giving people perspectives. You are sharing beliefs with people. You are basically telling stories and bridging the gap between their pain and problems and the dream outcome that they want to be. See, that is the key. So you've got to decide, what role am I currently in, and what role do I want to step into? If you're like me, you probably want to step into the in-demand zone so you can actually help more people. Now, with that being said as well, let's move on to like the second point, which is going to be around the content flow. And so again, if you're sharing a lot of just value and teaching and how-to type stuff, there's an abundance of it. Just type into the YouTube search engine right now, or type into Google, or type into ChatGPT, or just look on your Instagram or Facebook feed. You're going to see an abundance of that. It's just everywhere, right? So like, you're going to just blend in with people, and people are not going to want to hire you, at least not consistently. You're not going to have the predictability. So one thing that I find is really helpful is to make sure you have a diversity within your content. And then you're going to want to have, and what we'll get into thirdly, is an ecosystem, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But the diversity of content is around this stuff, right? How can you connect with people and show them that you're a human? If you listen to any of my stuff, you'll hear me, I'll tell stories about me, growing my gym, the successes that I've had, the failures that I had, the lessons that I've learned. I'll share client stories, right? I'll share just my perspectives on things, my values, my beliefs, my lifestyle, stuff like that. And that allows people to be like, okay, he's a real human. He's not just like some talking head that's like just preaching. He's actually, like, I could see what he stands for. I can see what he stands against. Like for me, I would rather put a gun up to my head than freaking cold DM anybody. So you're never going to see me cold DM. Guess what kind of people I attract? People that also hate cold DMing, and they want to learn my approach, which is more inbound marketing based. They want to learn how to make their marketing stronger so they can make sales easier for them, so they could spend more time coaching people. They could spend more time maybe writing or speaking and really teaching and educating people and transforming people's lives, right? I attract those people because I share that stuff. So there's connection. And then there's influence. And influence is what I like to call mob content, where you're helping to, again, shift perspectives around the most commonly held mistakes people make, right? The objections that they currently have in their head, which can also be, formed as false beliefs. And then the B is beliefs. Like what limiting beliefs do they have that are keeping them stuck, that are keeping them from getting to the problems? And the best way to shift beliefs is through story, right? The more you can share your personal story, client stories, you can use metaphors, analogies, things that like just make people go, aha, right? It gives them that epiphany, that aha moment. That's what's going to get people over the edge. And then you have authority content. And this is where a lot of coaches live. This is where a lot of experts live, is they're sharing, they're teaching, right? 3 steps to do this, 5 steps to do this. Here's how you do a squat. Here's how it's like, yeah, cool, but you're going to blend in. So what you want to do differently with authority is, I like to share stories around social proof, right? Like for example, I just had a client of mine. She literally just joined, and we were on it was actually her second one-to-one call. We had an onboarding call, then we had a one-to-one. I do a lot of one-to-one Zoom sessions with my clients. And on that call, I helped her write a post. I literally wrote the copy for her, and I was like, post it on this call. I want to see what happens. Well, literally within 10 minutes of us hanging up off of that Zoom, she had leads. Now, fast forward 48 hours from when we made the post, she has over 60 leads and counting, all organic, right from her audience. And previously, she was struggling. Everything she was posting, it was like nothing, right? And I was like, aha, but it's because the messaging was off in the copy card. Anyways, that's besides the point. My point is like, I'm sharing that now. Like you're like, okay, well, he's getting results for people, so it positions me more as an authority, right? So when you are sharing social proof and you're sharing results, right, that helps. And when you're not just teaching at people, but you are giving them the insights in the lessons around what you're teaching them, that's going to be beneficial for them, because it gets them to think the way you need them to think, which is going to change the actions they take. So they're going to be more empowered to take actions and want to reach out to you. And then there's conversion content. This is where you are really building demand, right? And this is what's lacking with a lot of people's content, is they're like, I'm trying to like host challenges, or I'm trying to grow, run trainings and master classes, but I'm getting crickets, or I'm not getting the amount of people that I want. And a lot of times it's just you're not building enough demand. And so the secret to, at least in my experience, right? And I use secret kind of tongue in cheek because there are no freaking secrets. The secret is there are no secrets, but humor me here. The way it's easier to get inbound leads is by getting more people to consume long form content. And you get more people to consume long form content by building demand for that content. And so we want to have conversion content that has really good hooks that are actually compelling and enticing for people, and then call to actions that make it a no-brainer for them to want to take a next action. And that might be commenting or opting in and basically showing up to your long form content. Now, I have clients that do this with podcasts. I have clients that do this with writing newsletters. I have people like me that love getting on video, and they love doing it like YouTube videos and master classes and workshops. They like to get in the trenches with people. Whatever way you do it, you want to make sure you have content that builds demand, right? Just like this client I just helped, she has like 60, maybe even 70 at this point people, and it's going to keep climbing because she's getting just like pushed out in the algorithm now to want to consume her long form content. And she's going to make a lot of sales. In fact, she will probably double her investment that she made into my mentorship within the first week or two, which is sick. And that's, I think, what we all strive for, is to help our clients get results fast and permanently, sustainably. So that's the basis of it, right? And then the third major piece here is having a world people can live in. And this is where I feel this is not, quote unquote new, but this is what most people aren't doing. It's letting people live in an ecosystem, your own world. And I often jokingly talk about this as like the Bermuda Triangle, right? So you have Florida, you have Puerto Rico, and then of course Bermuda. And like the legends say that ships will get sucked in and lost at sea, right? They get sucked in and captivated into it. Well, you can create that with your content if you do it right. And this is where, and I have an entire playbook on this. Like I've been doing this for years on this. This is why I have a lot of data. And it's almost like an invisible funnel. You don't need landing pages. You don't need crazy automations. You don't need ads. You don't need any of that stuff to make this work. You have to have a top of funnel platform like Facebook or Instagram, something like that. And you have to make that that top of funnel platform work. You can't just like have it, or you got to actually make it work and produce leads and stuff. And then you got to have an email list. You want to drive people to an email list, right? And so from your top of funnel, it's super easy organically. And I have multiple strategies. I'm happy to share them with you to get people onto your email list without paying for ads. Like I look at ads as like you putting fuel on a fire that's already burning. What most people do with ads, little side tangent here, is they're pouring fuel on like on something that's not burning. They're like, why isn't it burning? And then they might get a spark of something, but it's like a bunch of unqualified leads because it's like they haven't actually dialed in their messaging or positioning. And so they're like, literally now they're like, oh, I have something burning, but it's my shirt. I don't want my shirt to burn. When in actuality, if you want to have what you want to burn, that's you dialing in your messaging, your positioning, all that stuff. Anyway, side tangent. You start building your email list, and now you're sending your best content to your email list. And then when you have this dialed in, you add something like YouTube or a podcast funnel. And this works in like a triangle fashion, right? And so when you're under 5 clients per month, the easiest way to get clients is to really dial in your top of funnel. You really build that social funnel on your email list. You send your best content to your email list. And so you start to create this like world with 2 points. And then once you are getting around 5 clients per month for this, then you start to add a long form channel in like YouTube. And this allows you to have this like this trifold, this ecosystem. And you are basically moving your top of funnel to your long form. So more people can like, you become a Netflix channel for people, and they can go through your content and they can really get to know, like, and trust you. And you share your best content via email from both platforms, right? And it becomes this like nice little world, this ecosystem. And the more you dial this in, the more clients you will have. And quite frankly, that strategy, once again dialed in, you can't just like do it. You got to actually like do it right. Then you will start to get 5, 10, 15 clients per month. And so that's how to do it in 2025. And it all comes down to the foundational piece of you got to have the right messaging. Okay. You got to be able to make your content magnetic. You've got to be able to speak. And it's not about engagement, by the way. If you get caught in the vanity metrics, you get caught into the ego, maybe you have some trauma about getting, outcasted in high school, and now you want to grow a big Instagram following so you could show them, right? Whatever, man. It's like but like, if you're focusing on the right words in the right way to the right people, that's going to get the right people in, right? I have a mentor of mine that I love his analogy on this. He says it's the megaphone versus the dog whistle, right? Where the megaphone is, you're just trying to yell louder, like, let's hear me, right? It's like you're in New York City in Times Square, just trying to get people to hear you, versus a dog whistle, right? Only dogs can hear it, right? So you want to be able to communicate your message in a way that only your ideal clients can hear it. That helps you cut through the noise. Okay. And then when you have some kind of unique positioning around it, right, you have a big idea, right? Like we have our in-demand model, right? I talk about our mechanisms, like our magic messaging frameworks or our content ecosystems that we build. Now this kind of separates us from that, the noise, right? From the noise. So your messaging is the foundational piece. Then you want to make sure that you're diverse with the content, so you're sharing more stories and belief shifting content. You're not stuck in the friend zone or the expert zone, but you're leading people's thoughts. And then you want to have an ecosystem, a world for people to live in. And when you could do this, you're going to find it, at least I have, and a lot of my clients that I've helped have found it way easier to be able to get clients in 2025. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, let me know down below. Drop them in the comments. Otherwise, if you found this video helpful and you care to see more, then click subscribe, and hopefully it'll pop up in your newsfeed. All right. As always, remember, your message matters now more than ever has before. Don't be afraid to speak it. As always, be seen, be heard, and be impactful.